Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex. And today I'm going to give you my breakdown and thoughts on whether or not you should get the comic card chest now that the new rotation of comic cards includes the kind of infamous Korean cards, the 5 original 3-stat premium cards. I'm going to give you guys a breakdown of the stats of each card, the best possible rolls, and compare them to other cards to essentially illustrate that this is not worth your time in terms of crystals. At the end, I will discuss why some people might still be trying to get these and what the whole issue was around these cards and why they were so hot, you know, and people wanted them so badly for so long when they were originally introduced at the beginning of the year or at the end of last year. Anyways, these 5 Korean cards that you see here from Avengers, Captain America, the Guardians card, the Amazing Spider-Man card that you're seeing now, and then at the end, the all-new, all-different Avengers card are the original 3-stat premium cards. So they have 3 fixed stats, and then they have 3 variable stats. They're similar in setup to the current premium cards that we see, like Chubby Baby Spider-Man, Uncanny Avengers, the Black Widow card where looks like she's tattooing Winter Soldier, and etc. But in fact, these cards are not very good. And I think the biggest problem with these cards when you look at the stat breakdowns is that 2 of the cards cannot roll all attack, which is terrible. And then 3 of the other cards have all attack as the 3rd fixed stat, which means it's always going to be a static 5%. And I'll show you what I mean. I actually have 2 of the premium Korean cards equipped. I have one of the better ones and one of the less good, one of the worst ones, but the 3 Korean cards that have all attack always have it as that 3rd option, that 5.1%, which means that even if you roll a 7 quality Korean card, you'll never have more than 5% all attack. If you use these Korean cards, it's really going to bring down your all attack unless you have other cards to buttress it. So in general, trying to get even more than one of these Korean cards is a bad idea because the other 4 are just so weak. And I've been trying for a long time, in fact, to replace some of these cards. I just haven't been able to roll. I haven't been lucky enough to roll something that could replace it. But they're definitely not at the top. They're not even anywhere near the top. This one, again, has all attack on the 3rd slot, but none of them have it on the 1st slot. And then the ones that don't have it can't get it at all. So I think that's the biggest problem with these cards, is that they don't have and they can't roll enough all attack. Even if you use all 5 Korean cards, you're only looking at about 15% all attack, which is anemic. It's very low. And basically the only Korean card that's actually worth anything as a standalone card, I would say, is the Spider-Man. Please stop selling me things I don't want. Is the Amazing Spider-Man Spider-Verse card. That one has Ignore Defense and Skill Cooldown as the 2 primary stats, so you can get those all the way up to 11 if you roll at 7 quality, but then again, it's only got that 5% all attack. But even the Spider-Verse card is not very good, because as you can see from the breakdown of its premium or its best stats for each slot, you're going to have to end up rolling Dodge on the 5th position for the stat, which is not a very good stat to roll. It's missing out. You know, you can't really have crit rate and crit damage because then you're missing out on energy attack or attack speed. You know, you're missing a lot of things with this card if you try to go that way. And even as far as defensive stats go, Dodge is not premium. Max HP would be much better. Even all defense, I think, would be better than Dodge, given the fact that defense is kind of making a comeback with especially resists and stuff like that. So overall, I would say that this is not a good deal, but I wanted to go a little bit further, and I wanted to suggest to you guys 5 totally free-to-play cards that you could use that would actually be better than these Korean cards. Because I thought, rather than just telling you this is not good, some of you might still have questions, some of you might question or be skeptical of my stance on it, or the fact that maybe I'm trying to, you know, deter you from getting Korean cards so I can keep the bonuses for myself or something wild like that. But no. Basically, I'm going to show you guys 5 other cards. It's Captain America 2004, number 24. It's the Punisher card, number 60, that I spoke about before. This one here, where Punisher has his shotgun. It is the Avengers Origin Thor card, which I recently rolled up to 6 stars. It's at the bottom here, just Give me a second, I'll get to it. This card right here is actually fantastic, and it's not premium. You can get it from Shadowland. In addition, I am going to be using in my list this Loki card. While it's not free to play in the sense that you can get it from Shadowland, you can get it from the cinematic battle, so it's definitely free to play friendly. You just have to grind up the crystals to get the uniform, and then you have to just max out the uniform to mythic, which you can do for free if you complete the Sinister 6 special missions and get that mythic uniform ticket. And then the last card is the Unbelievable Gwenpool 2016 #1. I don't have that card, but it is a very good card. And I'll show you guys the breakdown of the overall stats of these cards and why even simply 5 free-to-play cards actually outweigh the value of these Korean cards. As you can see from the breakdown, the 5 Korean cards with maxed stats, assuming that they're all quality 7, will give you only 15% all attack, as I mentioned. You do get, you know, very good energy and physical attack stats. You get pretty good skill cooldown and ignore defense, pretty balanced. And then you get some smatterings of other things. You don't get much crit rate, because if you pick crit rate, you're actually going to be sacrificing other better stats like energy attack or physical attack. And then you get a decent amount of crit damage, dodge, and all defense. That's all well and good. The 5 free-to-play cards that I chose will give you these crazy stats. You'll get a whopping 35% all attack. You'll get similar physical and energy attack numbers. You'll get similar ignore defense, same crit damage, same attack speed. You're going to get a lot more max HP, double the max HP, double the crit rate from 0 to 10%. Well, that's more than double, but you get what I mean. Basically, the only downside to these 5 cards that I've chosen, and this is not even the best setup, because you could switch in some premium cards and go way higher on these stats. But just to illustrate how weak these Korean cards are with the new meta of cards, and by the way, all of the cards that I chose are all new cards from the latest card expansion. I'm not using any cards from previous expansions, so it just goes to show you the power creep in the cards, even among the non-premium ones. But the only weakness to my setup is you lose 6% skill cooldown and about 6% physical attack. But even though you're losing 6% physical attack, because you're gaining 20% all attack, it's still a huge win. Overall, this second card stat pool for my 5 free-to-play cards is much better. It's much more balanced. You have both crit damage and crit rate, which will help you use your obelisks more efficiently, instead of just stacking all the crit damage and then hoping to roll crit rate obelisks, or having to roll ISO 8 sets that have crit rate because you can't afford to get more crit damage. It's got more than 20% max HP, which is fantastic for Alliance Conquest, Alliance Tournament, Timeline Battle, any kind of PvP-esque mode that we have. And again, these are all free cards, which just blows my mind that they totally outclass the Korean cards. Now, I do have to say that if this was, you know, 6 months ago, before these new cards had come into play, these new non-premium cards like the Punisher card, like the Avengers Origin Thor card, then I may be making a different video. I may be suggesting that you try a couple of times to get some of these Korean cards, because 6 months ago some of these cards were among the best cards, and the Spider-Verse card was probably the best card in the game at the time, or one of the best, along with the Guardians of the Galaxy best story ever that I haven't included in this video. But a lot has changed, so I'm a little bit confused personally why Netmarble chose to put these Korean cards in this pool now. It seems like a foregone conclusion at this point that these cards are no longer good. I mean, some of these cards are just actually bad. They have main stats like physical defense. That's just terrible. It's so bad. And it just seems as though they're trying to either trick people who don't know and see, oh wow, premium cards, Korean cards, I need to get them, or they're trying to bank on the nostalgia of these cards as kind of the original premium cards. But hopefully I've deterred enough of you from buying them, because they're not worth anything other than if you are a collector. You don't need any of these cards for the comic collection, so there's really no incentive to buy them just for the collection, unless you are one of those uber whale collectors that just needs to have one copy of all the cards. I myself spent more money than I'm proud to admit trying to get these Korean cards when they were originally out, and I have to say that now, with the current situation that we have, I'm glad that there are free-to-play options that totally outclass and eclipse these Korean cards, because it shows there's a lot more parity in the comic card building setup in general. There's definitely still a higher ceiling when you factor in all of the new premium cards, and it is difficult for, you know, mid-level players or players who don't have a lot of crystals to keep up with that. You know, people getting 70-80% all attack. You know, they can stack up to, you know, close to 150 energy attack when you consider both physical or both all attack and energy. So the limits have definitely been pushed, but I think that the baseline and the reasonable amount that you can get for cards has definitely gone up, and it's definitely easier now to build 5 cards and build a setup that is competitive and that gives you a good balance of stats, and you won't have to spend crystals, especially not on these kind of archaic, now obsolete Korean cards. So I hope that this breakdown has helped you guys. I hope that you can see that there's basically no good reason to spend crystals on these cards for the majority of players. I hope I'm not too late and this double video for today has helped you guys. I was going to make it the video to be released at the regular time, but I thought that the blue Marvel hints and things like that from the sneak peek were more important, but I still wanted to make this one, so that's why you're getting a double dose today. I wanted to get the word out and save as many crystals as possible, because we gotta wait for that Uncanny Avengers card to come back so that I can try to pull it and you guys can try to pull it, because that's the new best card. Let me know what your thoughts are on this Korean card sudden pop-up. Let me know if you're one of those people who bought the Korean art book, whether you were in Korea or outside of Korea, and you paid exorbitant amounts of money and now you're kind of irritated that they're putting them in the game at the end, or if you don't care. If you pulled any of those cards, let me know. Subscribe if you're having a good time, and of course, if you like what you see, I hope to see you again tomorrow. Take care.